All right. When we talk about equations of lines, we're looking at formulas based on either 2 points or 1 point and a slope. Why do we have to know those? Because what is an equation of a line? What formula are you going to use? What's the only formula of a line that pops into your head when I say equation of a line? Yes, exactly. Y equals mx plus b. So, to find the equation of a line, given 2 points, so if I give you 2 points, 3, 5, 5, -4. Or 5, -3. Get easier for us. So if you're given 2 points, first thing you have to do, because remember, to use this equation, we have to find 2 things. We have to find the slope and the y-intercept, because y and x always have to be there. So first, if I give you 2 points, find the slope. Using that formula. So step 1, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So what is y2? -3 minus y1, which is 5. X2 is 5 minus x1 is 3. On top, they're both negatives, so we add the numbers. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 minus 3 is 2. So our slope is -4. All right. Once we found the slope, we have to find the y-intercept. How do we find the y-intercept? Choose either point as xy. Use the slope that you just found. Plug into y equals mx plus b. Solve for b. That's air conditioning. So to find the y-intercept, to find the b value, you got to choose either of the 2 points that are given, use your slope, plug them into this equation, and solve for b. So which point you want to use? Yeah, use the ones that don't have any negatives. So I'm going to use 3, 5, and the slope is -4. Y equals mx plus b. Remember, this is my x value, this is my y value. Plug them in there. M is -4, x is 3, -4 times 3, positive negative, 4 times 3 is 12. Solve for b. Add 12 to both sides. B is equal to 17. Then plug M and B into your equation, y equals mx plus b. And you're done. M is -4, b is 17. So my equation is -4x plus 17. That's the line that connects my 2 points. You got that? Anybody still writing? Find the equation of the line with slope -7, 9 and going through 0, 16. Well, work it out first. Work it out. Look at this point. X is 0 and the y is 16. That's the y-intercept. So my b is equal to 16. Let's do it both ways. Let's say you didn't notice that. How many of y'all noticed that? Okay, so we'll do it both ways. We have our slope and we have our point. Or we have our slope and we have our y-intercept. This is x and this is y. So we have y is 16, -7/9, that's my m. X is 0 plus b. So b equals 16. And m, as we said, is -7/9. Plug those in your equation. And there's your EOL. So whether you notice that the point they gave you was the y-intercept or not, it still works out. It just will save you a little bit of time. Now, if you notice that part, that this is the y-intercept, now you can just go ahead and plug it into the equation. This is your slope. This is your y-intercept. So which way is faster, if you noticed it or not? Yeah, if you saw it, it saves you this step in the middle. But again, it's not bad. If you didn't notice it, don't worry about it. It'll get the same answer. Wanna try another one? Let's try example 2. The slope has line of this line is -2/3 and has a point -3.6. So a line has a slope -2/3 and has a point -3.6. Find the equation of the line. The equation of the line was y equals mx plus b. So what can we plug in there? Remember, what we have to do, we have to know the slope and intercept. And all we know is the slope. Since we don't know b, we have to find b. What's y? Yeah, here's x and y. So y is 6. M is -2/3. X is -3 plus b. Remember, x and y is a point on the graph. So the negatives cancel, the 3's cancel. So we have 6 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2. So b equals 4. And m equals -2/3. Plug them in the equation. Y equals -2/3 x plus 4. And there's your answer. So that's if I give you 2 points or a point and a slope, you can figure out the equation of the line. When we deal with two lines, four things can happen. Our lines, that could be line 1, and that could be line 2. When this is the case, these are called parallel lines. They never touch. They never cross. The symbol we use whenever we use shorthand, we use just 2 short little hash marks, little dash lines. What we know about this is we have no solutions. Solutions are where lines cross. And since they never cross, we have no solutions. But what do we know about these two lines? What's that? Remember, the equation of the line that we're going to be using is y equals mx plus b. Using this equation, what do we know about these lines? They have the same slope, so slope of line 1 equals the slope of line 2. But they have to have different intercepts. Stop reading that thing. Stop, close it. I want to know what you know. If you're reading this off my sheets I'm giving you, you're wasting my time. I need to know what you guys know. Okay. So if you look at two equations, and if they have the same slope but different y-intercepts, then you know they're parallel. As opposed, if they were the same line, what do we know about if they're the same line? What do they have in common now? They have the same slopes, and they have the same y-intercepts. How many solutions? Infinite solutions. Because every point is a solution. So this is the first part. We're going to compare if the slopes are equal. This side are if the slopes are different. Only two things can happen there. If they form a 90-degree angle, we call those perpendicular. And the symbol we use is an upside down T. Or you'll see in some textbooks as orthonormal or normal or orthogonal, but it means perpendicular. How many solutions there? One solution, because they cross at one point. But the problem here is we can't use the y-intercept as a condition here because they can cross on the y-axis. They can have the same y-intercepts. So the only thing we know about these two is the slopes are not the same. In this case, if they're perpendicular, they're negative reciprocals of each other. In other words, if two lines are perpendicular, they have to have different signs and they have to be flips of each other. As opposed to anything else. If the slopes are different, then these are any other lines. and they only have one solution as well. Right there. So if the slopes are the same, they're either the same line or parallel, and if the slopes are different, they're either perpendicular or something else. Yes. This one is if you go straight across there. Across the highway there, and it's on the right-hand side. So let's look what this means. Here, I'm gonna give you the slope. I want you to tell me the slope parallel and the slope perpendicular. Here are the four possibilities. Fill in their corresponding slopes. So what's the slope parallel to this one? Why? Because if they're parallel, they have to have the same slope. So if they're parallel, they have the same slope. So all of these are going to be the same. So if they're parallel, it's -1/4. This one's 0. This one's undefined. How about perpendicular? What's the perpendicular slope to this one? Remember, they have to be negative reciprocal. So that's positive. So this one has to be negative. This one's 4/1. This one has to be 1/4. Okay, you got those. You got those. Let somebody else answer. So we change the sign, so it's positive, and flip it, which is 4. How about this one? What's the perpendicular slope to 0? What does this graph look like? What does this line look like? Which one? Nope, it's a slope. It's a line. What does a slope 0 look like? It's a horizontal line across the y-axis, right? Horizontal slope, as horizontal line. There's looks like this. What's perpendicular to it? A line through the x-axis. So it's a vertical line like this. So what's that slope? Very good. Now, why is it undefined? Because 0 is 0/1. To make it a perpendicular line, I got to flip it. So I got 1/0, which is undefined. If it's undefined, that means I have 0 on the bottom. That means my perpendicular line has to be the flip of that, which is 0. In other words, horizontal lines and vertical lines are perpendicular to each other, which is the X and Y axis. Y equals 2x, 2 equals 5x, and 5y plus x equals negative 15. Are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay, this is a math class. How did you get that? Did you do any work? No. How did you guess that they're neither? That's not condition. In order to determine if it's parallel or perpendicular, we have to know the slopes. What's the only way we can determine the slopes? If it's in what form? We have to get it in this form first, and then we can compare the slopes and then the y-intercepts. So, oops, let me see. This is plus. So what do we gotta do in the first one? For the first one, we have to get rid of the 2. So we have y equals 5x minus 2. In the second one, we got to move the x over. And divide each term by 5. So this one is negative 1 over 5x minus 3. So this one's 5 over 1. So it's the flip of it, and it changes signs, so it's perpendicular. Two y plus 4x equals 8. And 5 plus 2x equals negative y. So the left one, we have to get rid of the 4x first. So we subtract, since this is positive, we need a negative 4x to both sides. So we have 2y equals negative 4x plus 8 plus u. And then divide each number by 2. So y is equal to negative 2x plus 4. This one's almost there already. Just change the signs. So it's y equals negative 2x minus 5. We see the slopes are the same. They're both negative 2 and different y-intercepts. So these two lines are parallel. Since the slopes are the same and the y-intercepts are different. And the third one. 2x plus 1 equals y. Y plus 3x equals 4. This one's already in the form, so it's y equals 2x plus 1. Just move it around. This one, you just have to get rid of the positive 3, which is negative 3x. So y equals negative 3x plus 4. The slopes are 2 and negative 3. They're not equal to each other. So they're just two lines that cross at one place. Any questions about those? All right, the last one. Now, I want to find an equation here, given this equation, going through the point find the equation of the line A parallel and perpendicular to that one. So find the equation of the line parallel to this one, going through that point, and the equation of the line perpendicular to that, going through that point. Okay, if this one has to be parallel, what do we have to have? Same slope. So we have to find the slope of this line. So we have 4y, move the x over. So we add x to both sides. And divide by 4. So it's y equals 1 over 4x plus 1 over 2. So that's that equation. The slope of this equation is 1/4. So if it's parallel, my slope has to be 1 over 4, and it has to go through the point 2, negative 3. It has to be in this form. So my slope goes in there. This is my x value. That's my y value. I got to solve for b. So negative 3 equals 1/4 times 2 plus b. Plug in what I know already. Simplify. 2 goes into 4 twice. Okay, I'm glad we're in this situation here. Because whenever you have fractions and equal signs, whenever you have fractions, get rid of the fractions. How do you get rid of the fraction? Multiply everybody by the denominator, by the LCD. So I multiply each term by 2. I got negative 6. The 2's cancel, so I get 1. Isn't this one a lot easier to deal with than that? Yeah, it has no more fractions. If it's going to be a fraction, it'll be at the very end. Subtract 1. So it's negative 7. equals 2b. Divide by 2. So b is equal to -7/2. And m is 1/4. So the equation of the line parallel to it is y equals 1/4 x minus 7/2. There's the equation of the line parallel. Now, if it's perpendicular, what's the slope perpendicular to this one? If the slope is 1/4, what's the slope perpendicular? Yeah, so I got to change the sign and I got to flip that. So it's -4. So the slope I'm going to use for this one is -4, and it has to go through that point. Plug it into my equation. So it's -3 equals -4 times 2. -8. Add 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So the equation of the line perpendicular -4x plus 5. All right, since all of you all got packed up real quick, way before we're supposed to get out, I let you go. We're gonna have a quiz over this kind of stuff next week. So that means you guys know it already. All right, that's it. You guys wanna go? Go.